Hey everyone, I hope you all are safe and doing good. So in the series of learning Python programming language, in the previous video we have seen functions with arguments, how to define a function with argument, how to call that function, what are arguments, how to pass arguments to a function, difference between parameter and arguments, right? But now we have different types of arguments in Python, right? So in this video we'll be talking about all the arguments, the types of arguments in Python. So basically we have four types of argument: default, positional, keyword and arbitrary. Or this arbitrary is also known as variable length arguments. Further, arbitrary are of two types, like arbitrary positional argument and arbitrary keyword argument, right? And one is, we also discuss about required arguments, right? So basically these types of arguments we have. Now one by one we will discussing all the types of argument, but with the help of program. Practically I'll show you rather than on this whiteboard, right? So let's see. Okay, so let's create a new file here and we'll be discussing here types of argument .py, right? We'll see this thing with the help of example. Okay, simple example, let's take that greet function. In the previous video also we have seen that function. So this was our function greet. We are passing only one argument here. Suppose I want to pass two argument like department also. So just one more variable name, like one more parameter, and Jenny, and here I'll pass like CS, right? And one more print statement here. I want to print using f string, are you from this department? Whatever value will pass here in this department, from this department it will fetch the value, right? Okay, so let's run this and what it will show, hi Jenny, are you from computer science department, right? Okay, now what is the problem if I pass here something like this? First I'll pass this CS, suppose, and then I'll pass Jenny. Hi CS, are you from Jenny department? It doesn't make any sense, right? It's nonsense. So what is the problem here? Because first we have passed CS, because if somewhere, if the user or anyone who is using this program, the programmer is not aware about this definition, right? The definition of the function, and yeah, he knows that there is a function, greet function, and it will accept two arguments, one is name and one is department. But he's not aware about the order, the first name or first department or what, right? So maybe he'll call the function something like this. First it will pass department and then Jenny. Then it will not give any error, but obviously it will give some nonsense output, right? We don't know that thing. So what we can do, so here, see, these are whatever we will pass here, like first we have passed Jenny and then we have passed CS, right? Now, yeah, this is making sense because Jenny would go to name and CS would go to department. So these are positional positional arguments, right? Means we are not specifying anything like which this, which parameter would be associated with which value. We are not specifying anything. We are just passing two values, and here it will accept two values. So the first Jenny is at first position, so this would be assigned to whatever parameter at first position. That parameter is name, so Jenny would be assigned to name. Then second position is CS, then second position parameter name is department. So like that this would be assigned in order wise, right? So these are positional positional arguments, right? Not departments, positional arguments. I hope this is clear to you guys. Now the problem you got with positional arguments. Now to solve this problem, we have another arguments, not department, another arguments that are keyword arguments, right? Keyword, as the name suggests, key is like value and word is specific word we will provide. So how to provide those keyword arguments? See, first, if I know, like I don't know the definition of this function, this is hidden from me, but I know that there is a function greet which will accept two arguments, one is name, one is department. So I will prefer to provide keyword arguments, like having two parameter name and DPT department. So I will associate this thing like name equal to Jenny and DEPT, this variable name equal to CS. So I will associate the value with the parameter name. So this is what the name is, what like a keyword, and key, the value is Jenny. So these are keyword arguments. Now if I reorder this thing, like if I pass first department and then Jenny, the value of Jenny, then also it will work fine. See, hi Jenny, are you from computer science department, CS department? It is working fine, because if you change the order, that also will not cause any nonsense kind of thing, because we have associated the parameter and the value while calling the function. So you don't need to aware about the order of the arguments while you are using keyword arguments. That is a good point. So why we use keyword argument, that I think clear to you guys. And there is mixture of positional and keyword argument also possible. Like we can pass positional argument plus keyword argument in the same function call, right? Okay, let's see. If I pass simply name and this, name is what? Okay, now tell me now. Name is what? Positional argument we are passing, and department is what? Department is equal to CS. This is what? Keyword argument. So this is a mixture of these two. That is also fine. It will work fine. Name is not defined. Okay, we cannot write down, sorry. Like name here, we have to pass the value. Obviously, it's calling of this. It's not definition, it's calling. Okay, let's run this. It was my mistake. See, hi Jenny, are you from CS department? So this is what? Positional. First position. So at first position we have name. So this would be assigned to name, and then department. This is what? Keyword. But here you have to note one thing. This keyword argument should follow positional argument. If you say, let's pass first keyword argument, department is equal to CS, and then pass Jenny, then positional argument, this will give error. See, as you can see the red line here, right? Whenever you click, whenever the cursor would be here, then positional argument after keyword argument, but that is not possible here. Keyword argument should be after positional argument. Let's run this and see. Syntax error. Positional argument follows keyword argument. Positional argument follows keyword argument, but that is not possible here. That will give error. So always first positional argument. If positional argument 1, 2, 3, 4, how many argument you want to provide according to the definition of this thing, then provide, at last provide keyword arguments, right? It's not like that first keyword and then after that positional. No, that will give error, right? Okay, now I hope positional versus keyword is clear to you guys, these two arguments. Now we have default arguments. As the name suggests, by default you can provide some value, right? Okay, let's first correct this thing. First you should provide Jenny, and then department is equal to CS. This is keyword. So now a default argument, like let's take an example, like your mom knows generally how many chapatis you eat. So she is going to make, like I eat 2 chapatis, so my mom knows she only make 2 chapatis for me daily. I don't need to specify every day, like mom, I'll have 2 chapatis. But by default in my mom's brain, or you can say in my mom's function, there is an argument, number of chapatis for Jenny is equal to 2. By default value is 2, right? But sometimes, someday, if I am not hungry much and I'll say like mom, I'll have only 1 chapati, right? So now she's going to make 1 chapati for me, not 2, 1, right? So by default argument you can provide. I hope now you got this idea. By default, what is by default value? So now by default value, where you will provide? At the definition of the function, right? So if suppose by default I provide, let's take one more variable like subject, one more argument, parameter name is this, and department by default I am taking CS, right? So if you will not provide at the time of calling any value for this department variable, it's okay. it will take this by default value CS. So at the time of definition, you have to provide that default value of the argument, right? You can provide as many default arguments as you want. Like all the 3 arguments can be default arguments. Name is equal to Jenny, subject is equal to Python, department is equal to CS. It's fine, right? So I'm providing only one default argument here. So I just want to print here one more statement like do you teach, and whatever subject I'll provide this thing, it should print, right? Okay. Sorry. Now at the time of calling, if I pass something like this, like 2 only Jenny, and I'm providing like Python, only 2 values. So see, at the time of definition, we are having 3 parameters. So at the time of calling, I'm only providing 2 values, 2 arguments. So it will work. There will be no error. Hi Jenny, do you teach Python? Are you from CS department? Because for this parameter, if you are not providing anything, any value while calling the function, it will take the default value. So like this, you can avoid that error, like missing required positional argument, that error, right? By default, just provide a value. And if suppose I here provide this value like ME, now like I am providing, mom please make 1 chapati for me, like this ME is what 1 chapati. So this will override the default value. So 1 chapati means my 1 chapati, today it will override the 2 chapatis, whatever is there in my mom's mind, right? So let's run this. See, are you from ME department? Now this time it will not take the default value. If you provide the value during calling, so it will take that value. So this value is going to override the default value, right? I hope you got this thing. So sometime if you forget to provide this value, the default argument value, it's okay, it will not give any error, it will take the default value, right? Okay. Like if you are in any function, we have like name of the student, age, this type of thing, roll number, and like college name. So college name would always be same. So just provide that for that argument college name a default value, any value, XY college, XYZ college, right? Because for all the student like college name would be same. So rather than providing again and again while calling, just provide one time the default value. So it will take for all the student that default value. So in these kind of situations, the default argument would be very helpful for you, right? Now here, now see, this is department is default argument, and name and subject, these are, you can say, non-default. So these are known as required arguments, right? If I'll not provide this thing, if I'm passing only Jenny, right? Let's run this. This time you will get an error. See, type error. This greet this function missing one required positional argument. So this is what? Because one Jenny, so at first position we have name. So in name Jenny would be assigned. Now subject. This is also required argument because we are not providing any default value. So this is missing. Only one argument is missing. See, although we have 3 arguments, 3 parameters, and we are passing only one, so it should give missing 2. But this department is default, so it will not give any error. Only one missing required positional argument, right? So required arguments are, you can say, opposite of default arguments. Those are mandatory or required to provide at the time of function calling. If you will not do this thing, you will not provide those arguments, it will give error, right? Now one more important point about this, you can just note down this thing about default arguments are what? These default arguments should be provided after the non-default arguments, right? See, if I provide like, if I say subject is equal to default value, I am providing subject is Python, and this is, I'm not providing any default value for department. For subject it's Python, right? And Jenny, I know I have to pass one name, subject is default I have, and department. So department I am passing this time CS. But still it will give error. See the red line. Let's run this and I'll show you the error. Syntax error, see. In line number 1 only. known default argument follows default argument. So department is known default argument and it follows the default argument, but that is not possible here. Always the default argument should follow known default argument, right? Means first provide known default argument in the parameter, right? And then default argument. This is not possible, right? So if I do something like this, name, department and subject is equal to Python, that's fine. Just provide name, because name and department, these are what we are providing, Jenny and CS, or these are positional argument this time. But if you want to provide keyword, then name is equal to Jenny, department is equal to DEPT is equal to CS, that is also fine. Let's run this and now it will work fine, right? So this is the point to note here about default arguments and required arguments I have told you. Now next point is we have arbitrary arguments. Now suppose some cases are there, we have a function, let's take another function here, rather than this we are taking add function, then you will get those arguments, arbitrary arguments better. We are defining a function like add. Now I don't know, the programmer, or like I am the programmer right now, so I don't know how many argument I should pass. Maybe sometime I want to add only 2 number, 2 and 3, and another time I want to add 3 number, then 4 number, then 5 numbers. So every time I am changing the numbers, the number of those numbers, right? Or maybe the number of the parameters or the number of arguments vary every time I call the function. So I cannot directly fix, like for if you provide 2 arguments, then you just have to do like add maybe 2 values and just like A plus B and simply like 5 and 7, 2 numbers. Okay. Next time if I want to add 3 numbers, then 4 numbers, then 5 numbers, then if I want to add 3 numbers, 5, 7, 9, so it will not work here, because let's run this. See, add takes 2 positional argument but 3 are given. You are giving 3 argument but it will take only 2 arguments, so it will give error. So what you will do? Maybe I just want to provide next time 4 argument, 10 argument, 20 arguments. So I don't know in advance like how many arguments I will provide to this add function. So here we can provide variable length argument, or you can say arbitrary arguments. So how can you provide those arguments? Just a asterisk sign, the star and one variable name. So suppose variable name I am taking A, B, C, numbers, anything you can take, right? Suppose A I am taking, or you can say rather than this numbers, it should be a meaningful name, because many numbers I am providing, not just only one. So in numbers I am storing those variables, right? So I am providing here 5, 7, 9. So once you call this add with 5, 7, 9, means this numbers, this will accept 5, 7, 9 and it will become a tuple, right? Like this. Tuple is what? Like this, 5, 7, 9. Now I want to add these 3 numbers, right? So just to access each element of this tuple, what? We have an iterator, we have a loop in this, what you can say, Python. We have a for loop, like for I in, just the name, numbers, and then add, like C is equal to C plus I, and then print C. Okay. Okay, this you have to comment this out, 5, 7, 9. And at first, suppose C, just set C is equal to 0 first, so that it will not take any garbage value. C means the sum, the variable where I am putting the sum. Now it will work. See, the sum is 21. Next time if I want to add, like add and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this, 6 numbers. So this also will work. Okay, for both sum is 21. So let's provide here one more, 9. Run. Sum is 21 and this time sum is 30. Right? So every time we are calling the function, we are providing varying number of arguments. Right? So for that we are providing like variable, we can use arbitrary argument. This is arbitrary argument, or you can say variable length argument. But here you have to note something. There are single asterisk, right? So single asterisk is used to accept only arbitrary positional arguments. See, two types we have: arbitrary positional argument and arbitrary keyword argument. So with single asterisk, this numbers can only accept all the arbitrary, you can say, positional arguments only, not keyword argument, right? These are, see, positional argument. We are not providing any keyword here, just the values. We are not associating with this with any like name, like name is equal to Jenny or department is equal to CS in those cases, right? So there is a difference. So this arbitrary positional argument, the difference between arbitrary positional argument and arbitrary keyword argument, we will be discussing in next video. I hope now these basics are clear to you guys: default, positional, keyword and arbitrary or variable length arguments, and when we are using those arguments, right? The situations. So now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.